How long is it? This is one of the main questions that I ask myself when choosing my next game to play nowadays. I remember being a kid and playing hours and hours on repeat, finishing a game in a week and starting to play another one in the next few days. Sadly, those days are long gone, and now it seems so hard for me to pick up a game and finish it like I used to. But why? When buying a game now, I always feel like it will take me some months to finish. So that reasoning eventually led me to beg the question, are modern games too long? Or am I just busy with life and have no time to play? For this, I did my research on the most famous games from 20 years ago and compared them to their successors of today. For example, I'll take a look at one of my favorite games when I was a kid, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Great game, by the way. The average time that it would take you to beat The Sands of Time is 8 hours. Now we could take a look at The Lost Crown that came out in 2024, and that game took me 35 hours to complete. And since this is a Metroidvania, I also thought of comparing it to the newest Assassin's Creed, which for those of you who don't know, is a spiritual successor to the Prince of Persia. I know that one of them is a linear game and the other one is an open world. But like I said, I'm making this comparison knowing that there isn't anything like it today, and taking into account that Assassin's Creed technically is a successor to Prince of Persia. According to the internet, it would take you 40 to 50 hours to beat the newest game set in Japan, and 90 hours if you want to see everything the game has to offer. We could also look at God of War here. The original trilogy can be beaten in 12 hours on average each. On the other hand, if we take a look at the newest saga, God of War Ragnarok took me by itself 50 hours to complete. I am not a gamer that likes completing everything to 100%, especially when it's something boring and repetitive, so I usually play the main story and the side quests that actually interest me. And even like that, it took me a long time to finish. One last example we could see here is Zelda. For this one, we'll take a look at Skyward Sword, which came out in 2011. In order to beat that game, you're likely gonna spend 38 hours, which, to be fair, is not that far away from the usual length in today's releases. But compared to the newest Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, I have already 50 hours into that game and I have just visited one single major dungeon. What do all of these games have in common? Well, I think we can find a trend here. They were games with a linear focus at first, but as the years went by, every game tried the open world formula that The Witcher made so popular. The only exception would be God of War, since it hasn't become an open world through and through. But even Ragnarok has a semi-open world with areas that are fully explorable, like the crater and the Lake of the Nine. I think this is the main reason that games got longer, thus taking months for us to complete instead of weeks. Now, does this mean that open world games are better? No, I think it's just a trend that is popular right now, but one that I hope that we can stop soon. This is not me saying that open world games are bad, to the contrary. Some of my favorite games of all time follow that recipe. There are some games that have benefited massively by becoming an open world, like Zelda and Elden Ring, because they took their own formulas and somehow translated them into bigger areas, while not losing the essence that characterizes them. But I also think that some games are just trying to be an open world game because it sells, because it's gonna have more content and your money will be well spent. Something that I really hated were the Atreus section just picking up the fruit. I bought God of War. Let me play as the God of War. This is just exposition and lore disguised as gameplay. These sections were crafted as fillers. I'm pretty sure no one looks bad on God of War and thinks, oh, I can't wait to pick up some fruits with Angerboda. Or the sections where you get to play as Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2. This is not only boring, but incredibly surreal, and it doesn't even make sense at all. You're telling me that MJ can handle a group of symbionts on her own? Why would I want to play with her when I can literally be Spider-Man? I bought this game to swing around the city, to fight against the bad guys, to make some cool combos with webs. Why do I have to play these filler sections? Anyways, I remember getting super excited to hear that a game had 100 plus hours of content, but like I said in the beginning, that excitement has faded, and now I tend to ask myself, how long is it? If the answer is 30 plus hours, I tend to leave it for later. Don't get me wrong, long games are not bad, but I fear the worst now, and I feel that out of a game that is 50 hours long, 30 will be actually good and 20 will be just filler, annoying, boring, repetitive side quests that I have to go through over and over again just for the sake of exploiting the game and having more stuff to do. An excuse to sell it at higher prices. We tend to look at a game and value it based on the amount of entertainment that it can provide for us. Selling a $70 game and having 100 hours of content sounds perfect. You're paying less than $1 for every hour of entertainment. However, if you were to buy a game for the same price but one that offers you only 20 hours of content, that's crazy, isn't it? Why would I pay such a big amount for a game that is offering me a fifth of the open world quadruple A title? Well, because quality and quantity are not related, not always at least. I would rather to pay $60 to experience The Last of Us or Resident Evil 4 than $50 for the newest Assassin's Creed. Final Fantasy XVI is a game that started incredibly strong for me, and it was turning into one of the best experiences that I had ever seen, until it introduced some of the most boring, generic, repetitive content and lost the linearity and the epic moments that the first hours had. I think that games should find their essence and ask themselves, will I benefit from taking a leap to an open world like Zelda or Elden Ring, or will that take away the spirit that characterizes me, and instead be worse for that matter? If the answer to this question is a prior, then go on and take your shot at introducing your game to a bigger scale. If the answer is the latter, I think that gaming companies should focus on creating linear games and not lose their focus. I believe that the answer to many titles that want to have more freedom while not falling into some repetitive content could be these semi-open world games. For example, I wouldn't see The Last of Us on a bigger scale. It's a game about characters, a strong story with clear progression, and that could be lost upon transitioning to a new genre. Instead, I can totally see games like that taking advantage from having a semi-open focus. Something similar to Chapter 11 in Uncharted 4, or Chapter 4 in The Lost Legacy, The Western Ghats, which features a large and explorable area, with enough freedom to discover some stuff and secrets without totally losing the focus on the story and the importance of time. And speaking about the importance of time, I can't avoid ignoring the fact that life isn't as easy as it was when I was a kid. As we grow older, we have more responsibilities and less time to play, which is sad. So I tend to look for games that are shorter than 30 hours. It hurts me that one of my main priorities when buying a game is the length of it, because I'm worried I won't even be able to finish it anymore. I won't be able to see everything that it has to offer, or I won't be able to play anything else in the next 3 months. Sometimes I just feel like playing games that take me to simpler days, games that take me back to my childhood. I think that's why remakes are so popular these days. Of course, because they were great games and because of the nostalgia factor, but also because they are simpler, shorter, more fun even. For example, I've replayed Demon's Souls many times, and I want to play it again from time to time. Maybe because it's very simple and familiar compared to something like Elden Ring. A normal Demon's Souls playthrough could take me 10 hours, while an Elden Ring playthrough would take me 50. Perhaps by the time that I finally beat Elden Ring, I will be a bit burned by it. That wouldn't be the case for Demon's Souls, since it would literally have taken me a fifth of the time and I would be free to play some other games in my catalog. I've realized that some of my favorite games of all time are very short for today's standards. Games like Uncharted, Resident Evil, Prince of Persia, or The Last of Us. I've noticed that there are many instances where I look at a big game like Final Fantasy XVI and think, this is just filler content. And to the contrary, I don't think I've ever felt a game like The Last of Us was too short. It was perfect. I value quality over quantity because linear games have a purpose, they have a start, and they have an ending. And that's just what I need when I'm tired from a big experience like The Witcher 3 or Elden Ring. Do you think we should get more linear games, or what do you think about the length of games today? Are they too long, short, or just perfect? Let me know your opinion down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Valley Knight, and I'll see you in the next video.